versus the new digital. And a year ago, I was busy telling people, please, even if you haven't used it, hire a digital native. That's the name of a person who grew up with it. He's under 20 years of age. And use it maybe 10% of your budget. Today, I would say, I would talk about the fact that I now heard that Procter & Gamble is giving 25 to 35% of its budget for digital. Now remember, this is a company that grew up on the traditional television commercials and so on. My prediction now is that in about 4 or 5 years, most companies will be giving 50% of their budget to the digital, 50% to the traditional. So that's one change. And it will be a question of blending the two. It's not a question of maybe the traditional media would disappear. No, I don't want I want there to be newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, and billboards. Billboards is a minor one. I want those to be part of your marketing effort, because a 30-second commercial in 30 seconds gives an image of a company or a product in a dramatic way that you could sort of remember it, whether it's an automobile or it's a certain soap or whatever else. But then that very digital image, that very traditional image, maybe the 30-second commercial has at the end www, and it's an address, which really means if you want to know more, go to their website, go to some other sources. Meanwhile, if someone gets a digital message, they may want to see the commercial, and they could go on YouTube, which carries a lot of commercials now. So the smart thing to say is, whatever the percent of the two that is splitting, make sure one allows you to get more information by the other. Now, how many? The big question that I also see increasingly questioned is, how do we measure the digital? Mm-hmm. Well, the bad news is that we never measure the traditional very well either, especially 30-second commercials. We found that it's really without a controlled experiment to know how many more people bought something because they saw this Nikon camera in an ad. Unless I have two groups that are pretty similar, they have similar incomes, we put the ad into the homes of the Nikon, the Nikon ad in the homes of that group, and this group never hears Nikon. And then we may track, if we could, how many people who saw the Nikon commercial ended up buying them. So unless we have better controls, it will be hard to know what a 30-second commercial is going to do. But how do we know what Facebook is going to do? How do we know how much more goods were sold because of Facebook or because of any of these new things, even YouTube? That's going to be a problem. Now, something else occurred to me that was also new. There's a thing that I didn't talk about last year because I didn't hear much about it. It's called content management. Mm-hmm. Now people are being added to the marketing department who can create stories, basically mm-hmm. stories. They're often journalists. And the idea is there are stories that would interest your customers, but not all customers. Maybe the story I just wrote will help my manufacturers of, let's say, of kitchen appliances. Now, I'm not selling my own kitchen appliance. I'm actually sending to certain customers a story about the future kitchen and how it will look. It is not an ad to sell anything. It is to say, customer, we know what your interests are, and we want to share with you some things. You don't have to read it if you're not interested. The problem with content management and all the money now being spent in creating content is that it wasn't designed to have an impact on selling immediately. We hope to create a customer who says, they must like me. They send me interesting things to read, whether I do anything about it or not. So we have to, some companies that started doing content marketing, the bosses wanted too quickly the results of the content marketing. And so maybe it won't, maybe it will be a flash in the pan. Yeah. What else is different? Are there new ways to help people afford a product? I just saw, yeah, there's a thing called Groupon. Has Groupon come to Ecuador? A thing called
not
Groupon?
yet, no.
Well,
but there are some similar.
They're similar, you know. So you know the basic idea that I can go to a restaurant for once only and get half price. If more than 100 people agree to go to that restaurant and pay the half price, then you get notified. Okay, anytime you want now, you can show them the Groupon. Now, that was very, very popular, but a lot of people ended up buying so many Groupon offers that they couldn't even get to every restaurant or take advantage of everything. And some of the owners of the restaurant said, I don't think I got my money back for selling my food for half price. But the problem is, maybe it's not a good restaurant. In other words, Groupon, if it helps a poor restaurant get more customers to try it, won't gain anything because it's not a good restaurant. The hope was, I've got such a good restaurant, if I can get more people to try it. So Groupon is one of the newest innovations that I've seen. Let me stop here about other questions besides those that are.
Ayúdame porque no quiero. Gracias. Quiero que le preguntes la corriente de marketing oriental es bastante fuerte. ¿Cómo está incidiendo realmente en el mercado actual?
Oriental marketing is like very strong.
Does he say Asian marketing? Marketing from Asia, China
strong.
Possibly. Yeah.
How do you think it's influencing us? ¿Cómo nos influencia a nosotros?
Sí.
In South America or maybe in America?
Yeah. Okay. And you'll tell them later or translate.
Yeah.
Basically, the Chinese are able to be the factory of the world. They make all the clothing, all the shoes, pencils, paper, lots of things, and they can sell it cheaper to us. So I would think that in South American countries, some of the toys that you buy for your children or anything else, made in China, made in China. So the question is, the marketing is usually using this formula. Same product, cheaper, or better product, cheaper. That's the real reason for Asian success. It's not sophisticated marketing. Japanese marketing is sophisticated. They make better products, and they charge more, but they're good at design. And even if you buy some Japanese dishes or you buy Japanese spoons, everything is, so all Asian marketing isn't one thing. He knows that. Okay.
Yo puedo esperar, no importa.
Okay, so, and for example, that we were talking about changes, for example, advertising, that I have seen that advertising has become like more social or more good advertising. What do you think about that?
Well, advertising went through stage 1, 2, and maybe 3. One type I call marketing or advertising 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. All right, 1.0 was advertising which claims that your product is the best and they can prove it's the best, so they're actually aiming it at your mind. They're not trying to emotionalize it. They're just saying, if you're going to buy rubber tires for your car, Michelin lasts longer than the other brands. Okay, that's appealing to the mind. Then at a new stage, marketing went after the heart. They want to, and I'll give you an illustration. If I buy detergent from a company that says ours is the best detergent, that's marketing 1.0. But if they show the mother with the baby and the clothing around the baby was washed with their detergent, I get emotional. I identified Procter & Gamble with loving babies. So stage 2, so many companies have added the heart to the mind. Now, the 3.0 is a new stage, and there you're appealing to your company by saying that we're a company that cares about the environment. We're a company that cares to make a better world. And so that would be the third thing. You can appeal to the mind, the heart, or the spirit. So, do you know of any Ecuador companies that are winning because they say, you know, we're not just making a good product or service for you, we're spending a lot of time being not wasteful and not creating pollution. Are there any Ecuador companies like that?
Yeah, a few.
A
Very
few.
few.
Okay. You know, part of the reason is do buyers care about that very much? They care about getting a product that is okay and that is cheap. Now in Sweden, where they have a lot more money, every company is doing 3.0, trying to show that they are helping the cancer problem, they're helping this, they're helping that. They think that a Swedish company that doesn't want to do something good for the world besides make a good product is missing it. So a lot depends on the country. Ecuador is at a stage where most of the buyers are not going to buy from that company just because it's a good company. Some, but maybe educated people in Ecuador will do that.
So, does Philip Kotler has smartphone?
Yeah.
Does have a Twitter, Facebook? Is he using? How do you interact with social media?
Well, I do have an iPhone, but it could have been a Samsung phone. They're both good. And how do I use it? I'm not an advertiser, you know what I mean? If I were producing a product, that I have a sort of a company that brings me to different places in the world, and they announce events like this event using the digital media and the old media. They put out posters, brochures, but they also have mailing lists of the names of people who they could send emails to and so on. Yeah.
Getting out of the advertising, what about the innovation and marketing?
The what version?
Innovation and marketing.
Yeah.
Getting on new products, new way of thinking. What you were saying, like former groups on innovation inside the companies and outside the companies. What do you think during the war, around the war, will be like for a small company?
Yeah.
Because when you have the budget to get outsiders group,
Yeah.
It's
Now
it's
here's
quite
the
different.
thing. Here's the thing. I want to talk about a group that we didn't mention, who are innovators, and those are entrepreneurs. And then I can talk about companies. An entrepreneur wants to create something new, and they're often found in Silicon Valley. They're found in just go a little further. They're found in Silicon Valley, and they end up making Facebook. Another one starts Google. So we know that, and many of them are successful, but they have created an app. An app isn't as big as a Facebook, just an app. And we expect these people to be found everywhere in the world. In fact, some cultures have more entrepreneurs per 1,000 people than other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk about Ecuador. I don't know the situation. I would say you have the beginnings of that if the young people who are trying to invent new things meet each other and have a community. In Chicago, my city, we have a place that has 2,000 or 3,000 entrepreneurs who go there every day, and they sit with their computers, they talk to another person, they form groups, and my point is we have a strong Silicon Valley in Chicago. Now, in every country there's an effort of some city to be the place that might generate new ideas. But remember, entrepreneurs, an idea is not enough. You have to have talent and you have to have money. So the question in Ecuador is, if you have some entrepreneurs, what are you doing to help them start a new business? Where are they going to get the money to try out the new business? Do their parents have enough money? Do their friends believe in them enough to put the money together? Is there a venture capital firm? Is there a microfinance that are doing, any of your banks doing microfinance where you give us a few $100s to do something in a new idea? All right, so that's about the entrepreneurs. I believe, in other words, that Ecuador should encourage supporting entrepreneurs. Now, some companies will hire entrepreneurs to be their new product people, maybe. But the big thing is most companies, to be innovative, they themselves have to create the processes where there will be some money to go for ideas that come up in the company itself.
Some people say that around the world it's basically, or it used to be, I don't know if it used to be or is now, but to become a CEO, it usually used to be from the financial team. Mm-hmm. And now some people are getting out to be the CEOs and most of the directors in the companies from the CMOs.
Are women?
And from the marketing team.
From marketing.
CMOs.
All right, let me tell you my experience. Traditionally, most CEOs were going to be either the engineer who started the firm or was the finance vice president who knows all the business because he has all the numbers. Because even when the engineer retires, he takes over, or she takes over. Or it's going to be a lawyer who's very close to the firm and knows a lot about the company. Rarely was it a marketer, because most marketers at that time did not know finance. And I have told my students, if they want to rise to the top, be a student of two things, marketing and finance. Some of them say, no, I just like advertising and marketing and create. I don't like numbers. I say, that's fine. You'll be in the marketing department, but you won't run the company. Because the financial mind is, what is the value of the company? What's the value of our brands? What's the assets? How do we invest our money? Okay, so I think if you've noticed a few more people who are running companies who are marketing people, it could be because they were people who were the ones who created a bright idea for the company. It's possible they created an advertising campaign that really got the company, which was going like this, suddenly going like this. And maybe that person also had a financial mind. That helps. And so we don't have the numbers on how many people run companies who are finance people yet. No. But there are a lot of marketing companies that are run by, of course, marketing people. Mm-hmm. I mean, a marketing research firm was started by a marketing person, and he's still running the company. And a lot of, and advertising agencies may be headed by the marketing person.
Mm-hmm. I have another question. Ecuador's government is getting more and more in innovation. Okay, first of all, like providing entrepreneurs with innovation ideas, some contests so they can win prizes and money so they can develop these ideas. Okay, what do you think about
That's
this?
a good idea. A government like Ecuador, or any government, that feels that there's room for a lot of new ideas should set up a system where they say, send in your new idea. We will keep a record of who sent it in. We will tell you what we think. We will try to get that idea over to the kind of people who could do something with it. And if something comes from it, we'll not only give you a little money for the idea that you gave, but we're going to let you share in the results of that new idea. I'm not sure many countries do that. But even if they don't do it themselves, the banks and the financial people should set up this thing called microfinance. You know the story, I think, that in Bangladesh, Mr. Yunus ran the bank, and he found that some women living in a village said, could I pay you for a cell phone? Can I borrow money to buy a cell phone? And the bank started to give him money for a cell phone, and she would sell one call at a time to different people, one phone call. Then she made some money, and she bought a second phone. And then she took a third phone and took it to another village. And before you know it, that became the practice of microfinance. So every country might have lots of people with ideas, but what's the process whereby the government or companies say, please give us your ideas, and we want to learn and listen. Any other questions?
What do you think on how marketers
How much
can...
time do we have?
10 minutes more.
Yeah.
What do you think on the mix that marketers should have on offline and online strategies?
If a company is a retailer and has a store system, should that company also sell offline? For example, Walmart is an offline store, and Walmart has online now in many countries. So I think it's a safe thing for them to sell their merchandise offline and online. And the future will tell them whether their offline is shrinking and their online is growing. I'll tell you that I know a lot of women who no longer shop offline. Yes, they may see some nice things, hear about them, but they want to look at the catalogs, the internet, and place an order and get the box brought to them. And then if they don't like it, they send it back. It costs them a little money. My wife in particular doesn't go to stores. She gets her shoes, her clothes, and things from online. Now, will Ecuador behave that way? Will fewer people want to be in stores? Now, the stores have a problem now. It's called showrooming. Namely, if it's an electronics store, I will go to the store to try out this and the other thing, and when I know what I want, I don't buy, but I order it online at a lower price. Mm-hmm. That makes the store into a showroom. And it's not making any money so stores become advertising platforms, not selling systems. In other words, the company may keep the stores going even then. But here's the second problem, and this came up since Bogota. A customer comes into a store to buy a printer, let's say a Hewlett-Packard printer, and it's $200. Before buying it, he says, wait, and he goes on this, and he looks up the cost of the same printer at any other place. And he finds out there's another store that says it's $150. So, Mr. Seller, you said $200. This store is selling the same printer $150. I will buy it from you. I don't have to go to the other store, but you have to sell it up for $150. Now, the stores are finding that happening more and more. What should their policy be? The smart stores will say we'll match. That's smart. Else you get nothing. You keep a price higher than your competitors. By the way, this is done with service businesses. Take a hotel. I go into I need a hotel room and it's 10:30 at night. And they tell me they have a hotel room. And I ask how much it is. It's $150. I said, you know, I'll pay you $100. It's $150. Yeah, but you're not going to sell the room. It's already 10:30. It only costs you $10 to fix and clean it if I use it. So I give you 100, it costs you 10, you're gonna make 90. Do you want to make 0 or 90? Because I can go to another hotel. So more and more retailers, in-store retailers, that type, will have to train their workers and their hotel clerks about this.
And what about the cost of it?
The cost?
The cost, yeah. How, you know, some stores might have lower cost on inventory and all that.
Yes, yes. So what it means that since every competitor has every company has other competitors, and it's always some that are lower in cost, doesn't mean that low-cost firms will win. Yes, it does. It means, actually, something else that's happening since your question from in Bogota. Namely, people like good quality products, but if the middle class is being squeezed, if they don't feel they have enough income, they're changing their standard. They'll buy an acceptable product at a lower price over a better made product at a higher price. Most companies that make higher priced products of good quality may lose out as the market shrinks and moves more toward people looking for acceptable quality, not best quality.
I would like to ask you, what do you think on the massive economy on the average products on quality, but what we were talking about earlier right now?
Inequality of...
And quality and...
Oh, what the quality,
yeah,
what do I think about
it's
quality?
going to be like average quality
No.
when you buy products?
No. You're raising a good question. Most products are sort of average, by definition. All right. Most companies in the last 10 years have been saying this: I better make not an average product, because there's too many competitors making an average product. I will make either the high value or the low value. You can't do both with the same brand name. If you call it a Mercedes, you can't make a very cheap Mercedes. But that's all right. Lexus and Toyota are at different levels. So I've been advising companies that want to be at the high end to not be scared of going to the low end, but with a different brand, and doesn't even say the same company's making it. But to go from the high brand to the middle, I'm not sure about. The middle seems to be a hole that you can fall into. But maybe the middle's coming back. So when I use the expression, I'm satisfied with an acceptable product. Before I wasn't. Maybe the middle, being
maybe
average
because
is
of the economy.
the economy.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with
With it.
people not having enough money.